Good evening to anybody might be listening or everybody that is listening. My name is John, and welcome to my 15 minutes, a daily exercise in running my mouth. That's basically what it comes down to. The channel is called Old Folks Boogie 2, and I'm old. I'm 70 years old. I decided to do this as I turned 70, and I decided to do it 15 minutes a day, every day for a year. And so here we are. We are at episode 70. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. This is the 70th day of the year, and that is the 10th of March, 2020. And here I am, going to take up another 15 minutes of somebody's time. Anybody who wants it is welcome to have me waste 15 minutes of theirs daily if they want, or just once in a blue moon. Who knows? Probably not, but it's fun to think about it sometimes. I think about what I want to talk about. But then I get up here and you know what? I lose track of it too. But no, last night we ended up, we were talking about one of the greatest comic books, comic strips, I don't know what you would call it. It was a comic. Still is, actually. I just read a Wikipedia entry about it last night that said that they, in continuous print, they've never been out of print. and that's just what I'm speaking of is the Furry Freak Brothers underground comic. Three of the and Phineas. Furry Freak Brothers. There was Fat Freddy, Phineas, and Free Will and Franklin. And Fat Freddy's cat and a bunch of other peripheral characters. If you've never had a chance to read it, read any of it, you don't know what you're missing. If you have read it, you do know what you're missing. You want to go read it again. I do. I tried to find it online. I think about Furry Freak Brothers often over the years. I mean, not every day or anything like that, but they come to mind during certain moments, and it could be during the day and night, evening, whatever. It's just once in a while you just, oh yeah, the Freak Brothers. And I think about the fact that I have all of these underground comics stashed somewhere in my barn out there. I have no idea what box they're in, and it's a disaster anyway. I mean, there are piles and piles and piles of crap. I have no idea what that is, where that is, where they are. Sometimes Susan and I go up in there and look, and we're just dumbfounded by what it has, what has accumulated, what we've done and we cleaned it out. When we first bought this house, that thing was filled with junk. Lord have mercy. We know who left it behind, but it took us a long time to get it really clean. And then we went ahead and spent the next 20 years junking it back up again. So what goes around comes around. So the next thing will be when the kids have to clean it out, maybe. Or I get my wish and we just have the huge auction where we sell everything. The household, everything. Furniture, the house, do it all. Tools, whatever. Everything that's left over, just sell it. Sell it all. And take the proceeds and do something else. I don't know if that's ever going to happen in my lifetime anyway. It certainly will probably in Susan's. She will probably get the chance after I'm dead to do that. I'd like to do it together. I'd like to think that, one day we'll do that, get rid of everything, get the kids to have whatever they want, and then we get rid of everything and go move to some easy living neighborhood somewhere. Because this house No matter what you do, it's not easy living. But anyway, back to the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. I highly recommend this comic if you ever want to have some giggles with yourself, especially if you're my age. Even if you're not, I mean, if you're familiar at all with smoking dope, because that's what these guys live for. That's their whole reason for being. Now, don't get me wrong, the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers have imbibed in all sorts of hallucinogenic drugs in their comic book career, and they've searched the world over for the best of the best that they couldn't find. They didn't always lead them in the right direction, but I swear you're gonna have to stop. I have to stop because just thinking about these guys, I can start laughing. I remember the stories. I read them so many times. Oh my God, I read them over and over and over again. I think I said this last night. I was not a comic collector ever. When I bought a comic, I bought it to read, and I bought it and read it, and then finally threw them away. Or at least somebody threw them away because the ones that I had when I was young disappeared. By the time I got out of the army, they were gone from wherever they were and to whatever trash can they became. And although I don't know that there was any, could have been though. I was in the early era of some of the books that came out in the 60s. I was reading comic books. I was actually reading comics in the 50s. I started reading comics when, I was in the first or second grade. As soon as I was able to read, I went and read comics. And I just loved comics. Still do. Not, but Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. Oh, the one of the things that the Freak Brothers had was a number of sayings, but there's a really famous one. And this Shelton, the guy that wrote this, I guess he made this up. I'm not sure. It's been paraphrased many times over the years, but the real, as far as I know, as far as I believe, the real original saying that the Furry Freak Brothers always had at the forefront of their thoughts was, dope will get you through times of no money better than money will get you through times of no dope. So, and I remember the first time I read that. Oh. First off, I thought, true. Really true, especially when you're young. You didn't worry about money, you worried about drugs. Pot, anyway. And that's what these guys do. Their main focus was always pot. Somebody should do an updated version of these guys and see what they're like in their 70s. That was what I really believe. These are Free Willy, Franklin, and Phineas, and Fat Freddy, and although Fat Freddy's cat, either he might have ingested something in his travels that allowed him to live for the last 55, 60 years. Just the thought of Fat Freddy's cat being still alive is just tickles me silly. I'm sorry, but this is a great comic book series. They're all over the internet. I mean, I don't know about how to find them to read, but you can certainly find information about the Furry Freak Brothers. It's amazing to me because right now there's so many things that I participated in different periods of time in my life, and now I actually can relive it. I can relive those through the internet. It's amazing. Just like we were talking, I had that discussion not too long ago about the Celebration of Life festival down in Louisiana back in '71. And, you can relive it. It's on the internet. Somebody put a video together, a 30-minute movie documentary about it, interviewed people. Not a whole lot of people couldn't seem to find a whole lot of people to talk to. Nobody ever contacted me. Of course, I don't have it out on the internet that that's what I did, but I was there. But there, I don't know of any. I didn't see any reunion site. Hey, if you've been to the Festival of Life, sign up here. So, but nonetheless, and here I use that. No, no more of that. Stop that. Nonetheless, stop that. 6 months after the other stuff. No more crutches. Try to stop the crutches, please. Anyway, back to Fat Freddy and the guys. Dope will get you through times of no money better than money through will get you through times of no dope. And anyway, that is just the most, at the time, to me, was one of the most profound things, not only hysterically funny, and especially probably because I was whacked out of my brain when I was reading it, is one thing, because I never read Furry Freak Brothers without having, some joint somewhere, something that I could smoke and get a buzz on. Of course, it wasn't the kind of pot that you have today either. It was, we thought it was pretty good for its day, I guess. But again, that's 50 years previously. So long time back, long time. And, but anyway, it was, the Freak Brothers were just what I considered to be, my heart, I guess you could say. 'Cause I felt like I lived that for a while. Like they, there was a time, just not an exceptional amount of time in a great scheme of things, but there was a time when I more or less was homeless, more or less was, I didn't feel it at the time. I didn't feel homeless. I just went from place to place, and wherever I could lay my head, I laid my head. We traveled and did different things, and, and did drugs and hung out, and it was a very strange time. Very strange time. Did all kinds of, did some not nice things, did some nice things. It's, it was just a lot. Luckily, I got out of that alive. I do say that very seriously. I'm lucky to have been through that phase of my life and made it through in one piece and came out the other side and changed my life around after it. There was not all that much, I shouldn't say that. There was a lot of pleasantness, but there was some unpleasantness. So, but that's neither here, again, stop that. Anyway, back to the Freak Brothers. They brought joy into my life, so much so at that time. I could never, ever. I'm telling you, you can't imagine the number of times I read those magazines over and over again. And there still is not that much. You could probably read through the entire catalog in a half a day of sitting in an easy chair. I can't imagine not being able to do that. Probably read it a couple times even in a half a day. I'm not sure anymore how big the actual catalog is. Furry Freak Brothers stuff. I was reading it, the other day. It didn't seem all that big, but in the list. But the problem is that there's different sections of different. It's hard to describe. If you're not a fan, maybe you'll become one and figure it out. Look for them in the public library. They may have some there. Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. But it's just one of the greatest. I think it's one of the greatest writing minds in the 20th century who did this. I think Shelton is, phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, at the time when I was reading this stuff for the first time and getting seriously screwed up and reading and having fun, I didn't care who wrote the thing. It wasn't, I wasn't a fanboy of the writer. I was a fanboy of the comic. And at that time, there was no Comic Cons or, we just liked what we read. That's all. Anyway, and guess what time it is? It is time to shut it down for another night. I enjoyed this discussion. I love remembering the Furry Freak Brothers a lot. And maybe we'll do it again sometime. I have some other thoughts for tomorrow. Anyway, good night. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones and be kind out there.